Hi, I'm Jae Gruenke, founder of The Balanced Runner here in Chicago for the 2023 marathon. And I'd like to show you some slow motion footage that I captured of Kelvin Kiptum on his way to setting the new world record this morning, and show you a few things that are really interesting about his running form. So here, Kiptum is just at the end of mile 25 on the course, but just before turning off Michigan onto Roosevelt. And you can see the basic characteristics of his form here from the side. You can see that he's got a forward trunk inclination, also called a forward lean, that his hands are very close to his chest, especially on the forward swing, that his head is moving very smoothly forward. It doesn't bob forward and back, that his feet are landing under his knees and more or less midfoot, if that means anything in such cushioned shoes. And you can see his trunk loading and unloading in the core action so that the spring action of his torso is helping drive his running. All right, so now let's look a little more closely at some of these things. So I'm just going to manually move us through this video. So here you can see, if you look at his pelvis as he lands on his left foot here, you're going to see his left hip rise and then push down again as he takes off. And then a little harder to see, but his right hip rises as the ground reaction force pushes his pelvis, that side of his pelvis upwards. So this is part of the core action and very healthy part of running. You'll see, of course, his upper body turns side to side. There's a lot more interesting detail on that we can only see from the front, so we'll look at that in a minute. That's where the real story of Kiptum's form is, but my slow motion video is from the side. So we'll take what we can from this first. So again, there's your midfoot landing under the knee and the forward trunk inclination and the hands very close. Starting from here, you can begin to see that as he takes off from one foot, his shoulders lift a little and he arches his back slightly, as well as turning away from the foot he's taking off of, as he should. So again, look for that here. Right. It's a little actually less when he turns to the left than when he goes to the right. There, his shoulders went up, and you have a feeling almost that his back is upright and his head is in front of it for just a moment until he continues on, and you see, no, you get into mid stance and his head is in the same line as his spine, all on a forward angle. So the impression of him having his torso upright is just in flight, and it's from this little lifting of the shoulders, lifting of the chest that he does in order to take off from each foot, especially the left. And so now we have an inconvenient motorcycle. But once we come past that, you can again see that almost upright torso with the lifted shoulders that he has in flight. And then here we can get a really good look at his mid-stance alignment. It's actually touch backwards there. His head at the lowest point, and if you could drop a straight line from the center of his pelvis through the center of his stance ankle, which is where you want mid-stance to be, and then just a really clean forward tilt of the trunk all the way through to the head from there. So that's worth seeing. And then as we now get a view of him increasingly from behind, again, you can see his core action, the movement of his pelvis and torso. If you can watch his shirt just above his waist on the left, you can see that movement. You can see the very powerful down and back movement of his left hip, and then coming through again, the hip drops a little bit as he's on his right foot, as it should, and then begins to rise again as he turns towards it. And then here again, you start to see that compression in the left side of his waist, the pelvis move backwards and then tilt forwards. And that's part of what's causing him to arch his upper back, is this extra forward tilt at toe off. It's a very powerful action. And you can see then the twist all the way through his back leg through his left side as he is turned away from it in flight. So continue to watch that beautiful action. And then in a moment, we will look at it from the front and see the very interesting and unusual thing that Kiptum does with his core when he runs. All right, so now let's look at the broadcast footage from the front so we can see what's really interesting here, which is how Kiptum tips his shoulders towards the foot he's landing on. It's even clearer when he goes uphill, so that you can clearly see his pelvis movement here, turning and tipping side to side, along with this tipping of his shoulders, the large side-to-side head movement, and this accordion-like action in the sides of his waist. And we can see it even better when we slow it down. So here you can see when he lands on one foot, his shoulders tip down towards that foot, hip is driven upwards, and this pushes his midsection towards the swing leg. So he's already falling that direction. It stretches his obliques on that side, his hip on the outer hip on the stance side, and then that creates an elastic recoil that pushes down into the ground and propels him up into the air. And so you can see that action, and again, we'll look at the stance position on this other side, even more striking. And now you can see how this works in action. So this recoil lets him have a very powerful drive without muscling it necessarily, or without completely muscling it. All good runners perform this action, but Kiptum really maximizes it by also tilting his shoulders. And it's certainly not the only way to run fast, but you can't really argue with the results he's gotten here. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video valuable, please hit like, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and subscribe for more elite running form analysis and ways to improve your own running.